The tarot is eternal. Not only is it a model of the entire universe in 78 cards, it's also downright spooky at understanding people even better than they do themselves. If you've ever had a tarot reading or watched somebody get one, you've probably seen what happens when a reader pulls a card and the person they're reading for just goes quiet and their eyes go wide. Or maybe, if you're a fellow tarot enjoyer, you've even knocked your own socks off. Maybe you just kept pulling the tower on a week when everything felt like it was falling apart. Or maybe you kept getting the Ten of Swords over and over again, and you didn't know why until you realized that the tarot knew your relationship was over before you did. Or at least before you were willing to admit it to yourself. So, how exactly does tarot work? Well, I'm here to tell you, most of people's explanations are wrong. The psychic hotline version, where the cards magically predict your future, wrong. The skeptic version, where it's all cold reading and confirmation bias, also wrong. Both sides are missing what's actually happening. And what's actually happening is stranger and more profound than either explanation. My name's Jason Louv. I've been teaching and practicing Western magic for over 25 years now. I've worked with the tarot for that entire time because it's absolutely central to the Western sacred traditions. And I'll tell you straight out, the cards are not psychic. They don't have feelings. They don't know you. They're pieces of printed cardstock, for God's sake. However, the $3 billion tarot industry doesn't want you to hear that. They need you to believe that the decks themselves have power because that's what keeps you buying the rose quartz edition and the limited run foil pressing and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, in this field, mystification and hype can be good for business, all the way up to the $400 reading from someone who claims they're channeling your dead grandmother through the Six of Cups. But the people who actually built the modern, initiated version of the tarot, the adepts of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn like MacGregor Mathers and later Aleister Crowley, both of whom actually did practice ceremonial magic, well, they didn't think the cards were magic either, at least not in the strict fortune-telling sense. Crowley spent decades studying the tarot, from the time of his initiation into the Golden Dawn in 1898 until the end of his life in 1947, 49 years. And he was clear on the topic. Crowley said that the tarot is an admirable symbolic picture of the universe based on the data of the Holy Kabbalah. That's Crowley at his best right there. He's telling you that the cards are a map of the entirety of reality, not a magic 8-ball. To make this even more clear, you know all those Eastern mandalas and diagrams of reality, like for instance, the ones from Tibetan Buddhism? Well, the tarot is the West's version. It's just that ours is more interactive. Another Golden Dawn adept, Arthur Edward Waite, the man who designed the most famous tarot deck in history, the writer Waite, working with the artist Pamela Colman Smith, called it very high symbolism, interpreted according to the laws of grace rather than by the pretexts of fortune-telling. Waite spent years getting annoyed at people treating his life's work as a parlor trick. But as far as I go, I like the tarot for divination and initiation. Why not embrace its versatility? So if the cards aren't exactly predicting the future, then what are they doing? Paul Foster Case, another great initiate from the early 20th century, said that the purpose of the tarot is evoking thought, and thus bringing to the surface of the student's consciousness those great principles which lie hidden in the hearts of all mankind. Now, there's a whole lot implied in that sentence. He's saying not only that tarot can be a portal to meditative and contemplative states, but he's also saying that once you get down beneath the mental chatter, you actually get to deep parts of the mind that we share as a culture, or even as a species. Parts of the mind that speak in symbols, just like when you're dreaming. About 30 years after Case wrote that, a psychiatrist in Zurich, Switzerland named Carl Jung independently arrived at almost the exact idea, except that he called it the collective unconscious. Jung proposed that the human mind contains what he called archetypes. As he put it, primordial ideas or tendencies of thought which are common to all human psychic experience. Patterns and symbols that show up in every culture, every era, perhaps every human mind that has ever existed. For instance, archetypal symbols like the Great Mother, the Trickster, death and rebirth, the fall from grace. Every single one of those and more is mirrored in the major arcana of the tarot. The Great Mother is the Empress. The Trickster is the Fool, or sometimes the Devil. Death and rebirth? Well, death. The fall from grace? The Tower. These are among the many archetypes that Jung spent his career documenting. But decades before Jung even conceived of his collective unconscious theory, the ceremonial magician and Kabbalist Eliphaz Levi, and later, of course, the Golden Dawn, mapped these archetypes to the Hebrew alphabet and to the paths on the Kabbalistic tree of life, and even operationalized them in dramatic rituals designed to tap that very collective unconscious. So now we've got two separate traditions. Well, kind of separate. Western ceremonial magic and depth psychology that independently arrived at the same map. The Wizards of the Golden Dawn built their map into 78 cards. Jung built his into analytical psychology. These might be different languages, but they describe one territory. Well, that said, that's all very nice and high and mighty, but how does that then relate to tarot readings? Well, when you sit down with a deck and pull cards about, let's say, a situation in your life, you're doing something very specific to your brain. You're presenting your conscious mind with a set of symbolic images that will bypass your normal rational filters. This is the core of all magic. Your rational mind is great at making excuses. It's great at constructing narratives that protect your ego. Narratives like, I'm staying in this job because it's practical for now, or this relationship is fine, or I'm not avoiding that decision, I'm just being careful. The tarot don't play that game. When the Three of Swords shows up, a heart with three blades through it, your unconscious does not need an interpretation. It knows. Carl Jung would say that the archetype has been activated. The Golden Dawn would say that part of the tree of life has been illuminated. The practical result, however, is the same. Information that was below the surface of your awareness suddenly becomes conscious. The card didn't tell you something new. It just showed you something you already knew, but were refusing to look at. This is why readings can be so profound, sometimes even hard. This is why people can get that look on their face mid-reading. It's not because the universe sent them a message through some shuffled cards with pretty pictures on them. It's because they just saw their own situation with total clarity, and possibly for the first time. The cards didn't know. The person knew. They just needed a mirror. It's the same with tarot readers, by the way. So often, what professional tarot readers are actually doing is acting as a medium, pun intended, for the person getting the reading to have an excuse to admit something to themselves. Look, the collected, inherited wisdom of all humanity already lives inside you. It's your birthright as a human being. Some people might even go so far as to say that it's encoded in your genetics. And the tarot gives you a vocabulary for accessing it. So, why does this matter? So what? Well, in practice, this view of things opens the door to what tarot is actually for and how it can actually benefit you and your life. As we all know, your unconscious mind processes vastly more information about your life than your conscious mind can handle. It's already computed which relationship is dying, which career move is right, what you're afraid of, and why. It's been running those calculations 24 hours a day since the day you were born. The problem has never been that you don't have the answers. The problem is that there's often no obvious interface to the part of you that does have the answers, the deep unconscious. The tarot is one such interface. It's an operating system for both your conscious and your unconscious mind, and the overlap thereof. The symbolic language that it uses, a language refined by centuries of initiated adepts who understood exactly how the human mind processes imagery, speaks directly to the part of you that already has the answers. And there's no psychic ability required, no special gift needed. You just have to follow the right steps, just like everyone else. So consider, how much would your life change if you stopped worrying so much about all the damn decisions you have to make? Because you have an interface and a system for dropping your own BS and directly asking your soul what the right answers are. That's the tarot. It'll take the thing you've been avoiding and hold it up right where you can't look away. It can end months of deliberation with a single card. That's the real power. The willingness to sit with a set of symbols and let them do what they were designed to do. Show you yourself. Put even more simply, the tarot is a mirror for your true face. Now, if you want to learn more about how the tarot actually works and about the Western sacred and magical traditions that lie behind it, I put together a free video course that introduces you to the Western magical tradition. You can see it at our newly updated School for Magic, Meditation, and Mysticism, magick.me. The link's in the description. I'm Jason Louv, and I'll see you in class.